All right. With me today is Julie. Julie was one of the digital storytellers that did one of the heartbeat stories. So, adults with congenital heart disease that was funded by the Western Canadian Children's Heart Network. Julie, will you tell us about why you decided to do this digital storytelling workshop?
Sure, Kristy. I think it was a great opportunity just to share the story of my life and my experiences with the medical system and having two open heart surgeries, one as an adult and one as a child. I just thought it was a great opportunity. Personally, I think it's been really therapeutic, very intense, but
Yeah.
very therapeutic. And I think it would be beneficial for patients of all ages, heart patients of all ages, to have this opportunity available to them.
Yeah, and I think it's not for everyone. Like if you're not interested in creating and using story, then it might not be a good fit. But there are a lot of people that this really does fit for. Um, will you tell people a little bit about what you ended up doing for a digital story?
Sure. So basically, my story centered around how congenital heart disease has also interplayed with my mental health, both growing up and as an adult. So sort of the mental health aspects of going through the surgeries and how that impacts you as a child with your peer group, because it sets you apart from other kids growing up.
Well,
So,
well, and it's only a 2 to 4 minute video, right? Like you really
yeah.
had to focus in on one part of it, and you did a phenomenal job. And I think that's what's really going to resonate with people seeing that piece about growing up, even into adulthood. And you talk a fair bit about isolation and peers moving on. And I think that is something that a lot of people, teens and adults, can resonate with.
Definitely, definitely.
And then you mentioned a little bit about your experience. It is an emotional process. And I always like to mention it's not therapy. I am not a
No.
therapist, but there is always like this therapeutic intent and this feeling, even when I do my own personal stories. So, is there anything else that you can kind of tell people about related to either like the intro session, the retreat itself, um, communication? What was the experience like for you?
Well, at firstly, I think going away out of your current environment was really important because it does change your mindset. So being able to go away to BC was nice. You kind of had that separation from your day to day life, so you could kind of get into the zone of thinking about what you want to tell in your
Yeah.
story. And I also thought it was really great to have other adult heart patients with
Mhm.
like a whole group, even though we've had different experiences. It was just great to have that support because you didn't have to explain a lot, right?
Yeah.
People just understood immediately, kind of where you would be at, potentially like emotionally
Yeah.
or like mentally, kind of thing. So yeah, it was just to have that understanding and that, I guess, camaraderie, really.
Yeah. Well, and so we set it up so that there was an intro session about 2 weeks ahead of time so people kind of knew what a digital story was. We had a chance to talk about it. And then we had a weekend workshop retreat, and as Julie said, it was in BC. So we actually had a space donated that we could all stay at and do the stories together. And you're right, that really does take you out of like, oh, I need to do the dishes or I need to like finish the laundry. Like you get to just focus. And it is like an intense 2 days, but I think it's really worth it to like do the story. Are there any things that you would change about the process?
The only thing is I felt like the 2 days that we had were really compressed because we had to accomplish a lot.
Yeah.
So I think maybe even having like a 3-day weekend away, I know obviously it would require a lot more funding, but I think it would be having maybe that extra day would enable us to have a little bit more built-in breaks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know for me personally, I need a lot of time alone. So even when you're going through like the emotional process of telling your story, it brings up things. So even just to have little breaks where you could
Yeah.
go away and like calm down or do what you need to do just to chill out, Yeah, I just found it was a little fast paced for me personally.
Yeah. No, and you know what? I also feel the same way. It's hard to get people for 3 days. With working and like we can do 2 days in a weekend. And even if we, for example, did the storytelling circle the night before and then had one more morning to have time, that might be another way we could do it. So I had kind of debated that and I wasn't sure which way I wanted to do it, but I appreciate your feedback on that. So thank you.
Sure.
What do you plan to do with your digital story? You've got a lot of things in the works. You've already done something with it.
Yeah, so I've shared it with close family and friends. And I've actually shared it with former mental health counselors that I had worked with
Yeah.
as a patient. So actually getting feedback from them has been really cool because I asked people just to share it as
Yeah.
well in my email note that I attached the story to. I just asked people to share it for both congenital heart disease and mental health awareness.
Yeah.
So who knows where it will go now that it's in the professional mental health community as well.
Totally.
So
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, like, you never really know what's going to happen and where the ripples will land, but you're also going to be sharing it with the Heartbeats board coming up. What does that look like?
I don't really know what it's going to look like
Okay.
what this greeting with the board is going to be like or when that's going to happen, but excited. Yeah.
Okay, well, I know that it's gonna be happening at the end of June meeting,
Oh, okay.
but I
Oh,
don't know the
great. Sorry, I
date.
forgot.
Yeah, no, that's okay, that's okay, and so they want to see we were talking about showing it just to the board, just an example of a
Right.
story, and then having a more public screening because we did one with our workshop participants only to see each other's stories, and now that they're getting finalized, we're gonna do a screening in the fall, and I know there's a place in Calgary that you would
Oh,
love to
yeah.
do it at.
Yeah. I think it would be great to do the larger screening after if the board wants to go forward with it, to do a larger public screening at the Plaza Theater in Calgary
Yeah.
because you can rent it out. But that's a maybe a bit of a pipe dream, but you never know.
I don't know because actually we have a bit of funding left over and I have permission to use it for a screening. So we do have some funding still from our project itself. So between us and Heartbeats, I think we can probably make that happen. And you're right, that feeling of it being in a theater with sharing a number of stories, it feels totally different than us watching it over Zoom, which I mean, it works, but yeah, I would really love to get people together. So we're on that page
That would be
together.
amazing.
Yeah. So would you recommend Heartbeats and or the WCCHN fund a project like this again?
100%.
Yes, you heard it here. And would you take part or would you recommend a friend to take it?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, I think I
absolutely.
got that from you actually
Yeah.
already. And then could you see yourself creating another digital story without the support of a group or with the support of a group?
You know, I really like having the support of the group because as you walk along the stages of creating everything, you have everybody, well, at the weekend away at the retreat, you have everyone there for feedback. So
Yeah.
that was great. And it was great to
Yeah.
have, you know, yourself and Christina helping
Yeah.
with all the technical things because I don't know how to use the software
Yeah.
and whatnot. So yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely like the most challenging part is teaching people the technology. But some people like take to it super easily, and other people just like need a bit of pointers. Like it's a neat way for people to do it. And what I like about the retreat or a workshop style is that people actually end up creating their own story with support rather than telling me what to do while I create it. So it's a bit more hands-on in that way compared to co-creating a story. All right. Is there anything else you would want people from Heartbeats or Western Canadian Children's Heart Network to know?
I think this was a great project, and I hope to see something like it or another iteration of it in the future for so other people can take advantage of it. Definitely. Like I said, I think it's really beneficial on so many levels.
Perfect. Julie, thank you so much.